Meanwhile, the government's irrational fear campaign against nuclear powers on. This week, modelling was released from the stacked Climate Change Authority, claiming that nuclear power would mean higher emissions, even though nuclear power is itself almost entirely emissions-free, because waiting for nuclear power stations to be built would mean keeping coal-fired power in the system longer, even though state governments like Victoria and New South Wales are also spending millions in taxpayer funds to keep coal-fired power stations open longer in order to prevent the blackouts we would get because Labor is over-reliant on intermittent wind and solar. Today, the government released the tainted interim report of a Labor majority parliamentary committee that claimed that nuclear power would be too expensive and unavailable until the mid-2040s. Now, this is palpable nonsense. How can nuclear power be too expensive when some 30 other countries are already using it, including France, which has about 70% of its power from nuclear, and which also has lower power prices than we do in Australia? And how can it take over 20 years to open a nuclear plant when the UAE has just installed one double the size of our largest coal-fired power plant, that's Eraring in New South Wales, and they've done it in under 15 years from the initial decision to complete the full operation? As well, let's not forget small modular reactors like nuclear power plants that we'll have operating in our submarines, that have operated in submarines in the US and elsewhere for more than 5 decades. Well, these could be quickly built in a factory and simply trucked onto site. How can even a Labor government, which claims to be in favour of nuclear power at sea, be so paranoid about nuclear power on land? Now, if we really have to get to net zero, the only way to do so and keep the lights on is with nuclear power. And with China increasing their military muscle, and we can see that, they're flexing it, aren't they, through their warships, now is not the time to deindustrialise, not the time to give up our energy sovereignty. Now, the PM might want to bury his head in the sand on this one, but voters, they are waking up. And this is part of what's driving votes away from Labor.